Hey, 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 what's going on, y'all? It's Dr. Malcolm D. Alexander, the Treadmill Wealth Coach, with another episode of whatever. Now, our episode today is about mistakes, right? We all make mistakes, and what is actually a mistake, and how you can look at it from different perspectives. We're going to talk about that. But before we do that, we got to do our housekeeping, make sure that we're everywhere we need to be. Let's jump on to uh our go lives. Um, okay, there we go. And make sure we're on our go live spots for Instagrams. Okay, excellent. We should be on YouTube's okay, and we'll check the Facebook apps. Oh, let me go to YouTube first here because I figured out a better way to do this a little bit better, I believe. And we're going to jump into our topics. So, yes, we are good to go on our YouTubes. All right. And let's grab a hold of that link. Oops, all right. Oh, you can't see it. Okay, good. We're there. Grab a hold of that link, and we're gonna put that link here. I figured out a way, y'all. Okay, and that should go here. Boom. That should work that way. Okay, share to your story, because that's good too. Okay, boom. All right, live in effect. It looks like all of the uh Facebooks are up and running. Well, and then we'll make sure we're on to threads. So, guys, just so you know, if you're not aware and you haven't been along with us before, I'm Dr. Malcolm Alexander, visionary founder of Winners All Around. And basically, what we do is make sure it's playing. It is looks like it's playing. Oh, it's good. It's working good. Okay, so basically, what we do is if you work with us and you're a business owner, you're an artist, we don't just go on one platform. We go on multiple different platforms simultaneously. And we'll put you on that. If you're a member, we give you interviews. We give it to you every month, every week. We have a whole bunch of different stuff. We can create a show, a podcast, all these things for you. If you're a rapper, come on to Freestyle Friday and do some rack and take over Tuesday, all the type of good stuff. You can see all of that at winnersallaround.com. Let me make sure we're on threads okay. And then we'll jump on TikTok. We'll be good to go. And we'll jump into our topic. What is a mistake? Okay. Um, I've thought about this for many reasons. I make mistakes. I'm not perfect. Um, Governor Westmore has been talking about that a lot lately. Okay, so it looks like we're everywhere. We're rocking and rolling. Make sure you didn't forget anything. I do want to put it on here. Let me just go to WhatsApp really, really quick. And we make mistakes in business. We make mistakes in personal life. All types of different things, guys, where we can make mistakes and do things, right? And so, I think I got that going on. All right, so I hear my thing beeping, and I got to grab one of my things out the office really quick and head over to the treadmill. Okay, good. Got that. So, got a little bit of my notes today. And we jump on into this thing. As you guys know, that I am not. Oh, I forgot. Let me go ahead and grab TikTok really, really quick. And please go, guys, make sure you go to the top of the page. Okay. If you go to the top of the page, you will see oh, there we go. What is a mistake? Okay. If you go to the top of the page, you will actually see a list of our different shows and different things of that nature. And of course, if you go to the YouTube, you can see all of them and the replays and all that type of good stuff and some of the interviews we've done and stuff like that with some of our members and stuff like that. I'm not tripping. I'm just stretching. All right. So we're going to add TikTok here, and we'll be on all platforms simultaneously in many different platforms. All right, all right, all right. Well, TikTok, TikTok, TikTok is Dr. Malcolm D. Alexander. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let me go ahead and flip that around as I got to do on the TikTok side. Flip the camera. Hey, 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 what's going on, TikTok? Good to see you, good to see you, good to see you. Hope everybody's having, what is today? Today's Tuesday, right? Yes. All right. Let's get into our topic, guys. As you know, so you guys know I'm not faking. Yes, I am on a treadmill, right? They call me the treadmill wealth coach because I've been coaching people in wealth and personal development, all that type of stuff for many years. And as I got older, I needed to get healthy. I need to stay healthy. And so I got on the treadmill, but I didn't like it. I used to walk and run a little bit and jog a little bit. And I got on the treadmill. I realized I had one in my house. It was almost brand new. I never used it. So I started using the treadmill. And then people started saying they want to plug themselves into me so they wouldn't have to do the exercise. So I tried it, but I don't like it. So what do? You find solutions, right? So I found a solution I can coach and mentor and give out and pay it forward and and help people that aren't necessarily members of ours or aren't clients of ours and things of that nature. And so it works for everybody. You get a little bit of information, hopefully of value to you, and I get to spend my time with you and let the time go by and do what I love to do best. Hey, Jonathan, what's going on there? What's going on, Andy? What's all the folks coming on TikTok? Love TikTok, be rocking and rolling. Thank you. Declan, what's going on? And so let's jump right into it, guys. That's how I ended up on the treadmill and the treadmill wealth coach. I wanted to call it the treadmill rich coach, no, treadmill money coach. I think something like that. But social media probably don't like that word. Probably like wealth better than money or rich stuff like that. So I got to be careful with that, Dylan. That's right. Phase, what's going on? What's going on, Alan? And so thanks for jumping on. Thanks for always TikTok, always monetizing and doing your thing so we can help have the money. And matter of fact, talk about money, guys. I also am one of the shows I have on Friday is Dads Deserve Justice. So if you're a father, if you're a dad, if you're a grandpa, if you're a mother, if you're whatever, alienated parents, especially when it comes down to fathers, which is generally the case, you have very lot less likely cases of alienating fathers alienating mothers. But that hurts. And so we need money, we need help, we need assistance. And so check out dadsdeservejustice.org. And that show is also on Fridays. You can see the different shows on TikTok. I'm not on TikTok, on YouTube. So go to Winners All Around on YouTube. Also go to winnersallaround.com, and you can see how you can become a part of us, how we can all work together. My man out in Baltimore, Fathers Fighting for Fathers, doing great stuff. Fathers are important also online. I love a lot of stuff. He puts out a lot of content. And so, guys, but we can't just put out content. We got to put out content. We got to march. We got to change laws. That's very important to change laws. And we have to, make it heard. And one of the things I'm working to do with our organization, Dads Deserve Justice, is to raise money so we can help fathers and we can help them go through the legal system and fight for their children and things of that nature. And also so that we can help mothers who do not alienate the other parents, who do not weaponize the system. We want to help them as well. But this show is not about that. Today is about making mistakes, guys. I did have a chance this weekend with the White House correspondence events we went um, to talk with Governor Westmore a little bit about it. And we're going to talk some more. He has a lot of programs. And that's one of the reasons that made me think about this, because he's been talking about, a second offender program or when people get incarcerated and giving them a second chance. They made a mistake, right? People make mistakes. And, that's why the Bible says don't cast no stones, because if you cast stones at people for making a mistake, you've made mistakes. And this is also close to my heart because recently I made a terrible mistake, but it was a mistake. I made a bad judgment call, and it won't be the last time, and it definitely wasn't the first time, but it's how you respond to people and you deal with people. And if you really understand what a mistake is, then you understand that you too make mistakes. A lot of times as men, we're in situations where we take the blame for things, we suck up things, we don't talk about things, and we feel a certain way because when we say it, people don't want to hear it. And that's a lot of issues when it comes to dads and moms, right? Dads, right? If you, I did a lot of studying, looking at a lot of things, and the mother will make a mistake and the father won't tell the children about the mistake. They'll keep it hush hush. Now, when the father makes a mistake, or the mother feels the father make a mistake, moms, women are more emotional. So all of a sudden, they're blurting out stuff. They're alienating. They're telling the kids. They're bringing them into the mess. That's not cool. But that's a mistake, right? And so you have to get better. But guys, you can't hold people accountable. My ex-wife used to be mad at me because I would forgive so many people when they made mistakes. It's a mistake, right? Now, if they keep doing the same thing, that's a different story. Maybe they need some help. Maybe they need some assistance. We have mental illnesses running rapid. I've learned so much more about that in the last couple of weeks. Last week, really. I did start studying it a few months back, and man, it runs rampant. And people you would never expect it wouldn't know. Some people shared some things with me recently. I'm like, really? Oh my God, right? Made me wonder if I had a problem, right? Well, I probably do somewhere. They say one out of every three people, right? We all got something going on, guys. That's because we're not perfect. And that's why God died for us, if you're a believer, right? So I do want to read something to you as we talk about mistakes. And I pulled up what is a mistake, right? Because I think maybe if you don't know what a mistake is, or you don't consider all the parts of a mistake, then you can often mess up. You can also hold somebody accountable too long. You can also, destroy some great things in life. So a mistake is generally defined as an error, right? An error or blunder, right? Now let me stop for a moment. If you make an error, right, do you usually do it again? Not when you realize it was an error, right? You try to adapt. It doesn't mean you don't ever do it again, but it's an error, right? If you make a blunder, well, blunder isn't something you do every day, right? That's why it's called a blunder, right, Jane? Jose, right? It's a blunder. So come on, Edward, we got to talk to people about that. In reality, what things are. So a mistake is generally defined as an error or blunder, either an action, okay? You did something. In judgment, right? You judge something incorrectly. That means the other person on the other side that's blaming you for a mistake, they could be in poor judgment. You guys think about that? Right? Or opinion. There you go again. Your opinion of something from your past, your perception, from your surroundings, from your environment could very well mean that you're the one making the mistake, even though you're blaming someone else for the mistake, right? I had a situation in my life. Someone does something to me constantly, over and over and over and over again, but I'm better at dealing with it. But as soon as I do something, now that's the end of the world, right? But we're different, right? We see things differently. That's why it's got to be about communication. I've always said, is somebody committed to the commitment or they committed to something else, right? You got to find that out about people, right? Um, okay, so judgment or opinion caused by poor reasoning, carelessness, or insignificant knowledge. Woo! Insignificant knowledge, meaning you don't have all of the information, but you made a mistake because you didn't have all the information. Or on the flip side, someone thinks that you made a mistake, but they don't have all the information. And if they refuse to get it, maybe it's time for a character check. Maybe it's time for a mental health check. Maybe it's time to, I'm not saying run, I'm saying focus on now we got another issue. We got another problem. And if somebody is in business with you as a partner, if somebody loves you as in a relationship, it's time to work through some stuff. Because if you refuse to, right, that's going to, at the end of the day, it's going to say a lot about character. It's going to say a lot about where you can actually end up in life. Because if you think that you don't make the mistakes, there's another thing coming. It is also referred to as a misunderstanding or misconception. Now I'm gonna read the whole title, break it all down for you, Ryan, so you can understand a little bit better. So I'm gonna be breaking it up and giving my opinion. I don't want to just in my opinion. Let me read it. A mistake is generally defined as an error or blunder, either an action, judgment, or opinion caused by poor reasoning, carelessness, or insignificant knowledge. It can also be referred to as a misunderstanding or misconception. Woo! Guys, if you made a mistake, If someone made a mistake to you, you have contributed, participated, and passed on the mistake if you let that be the end of all ends from either side of the equation. It's just like if somebody does a criminal act and somebody was with them. The person who did the criminal act gets a charge for doing the criminal act. But the person that was with them gets a charge for doing the criminal act and for participation. They get two charges. That means the person who makes the mistake made a mistake. But the person who takes the mistake and prolongs the mistake, continues with the mistake, doesn't go forward to figure out the ins and outs of the mistake, they not only made another mistake themselves, they made a mistake of not allowing you to make a mistake. Guys, gals, let's take responsibility. Someone said to me recently, take accountability. Absolutely. I take accountability for my mistakes, but everybody else also needs to take accountability for their mistakes. And if you're pointing the fingers that someone needs to take accountability and you don't go past that, then you are also making a mistake. Oh, I lost the power on this one. Hold on a second here, guys. I forgot to plug up something they told me to plug up to see if that will make a difference. Um, a girl got me this little plug thing, and whew, okay, hold on. I'm probably going to no. I'm gonna go in here. I'm gonna lose you for a couple seconds, so hold on. Okay, sorry about that, guys. I lost it. Okay, so I'm gonna try to do it here. Hope I don't lose you. No, there you are. All on TikTok, not going anywhere. All right. Okay, they lost the power in here. Guess the breaker got flipped. Too much power going on. So guess what? That's a mistake. I forgot to plug this little thing in, right? Well, there go a mistake. So my life be over? Right? No, guys, we all make mistakes that we're talking about today. So let me read a couple other things from here and talk about some definitions as we're talking about this here today. I'll wait for my thing to come back up. I may have to just go out and walk. So I don't know. But anyway, let me say here. Let's do the definition of an error or blunder. A mistake is something that is done incorrectly or produces an unintended result. Unintended result, right? Poor reasoning. It can stem from faulty judgment, inadequate knowledge, or a lack of intention, right? A whole bunch of different things can come out, can create poor reasoning, right? Misunderstanding. A mistake can involve misrepresenting something or having a misconception about something, right? Examples, action. Accidentally buying the wrong groceries at the store is a mistake. Judgment. Incorrectly diagnosing a medical condition based on faulty information is a mistake. Oh, that's a big mistake, right? Opinion. I got that situation going on with one of my doctors, right? They wrote up some saying like, where you get that from? I ain't never say that. And we the records don't say that. And he said, well, they said, well, they have interns or medical students that dictate to type up the information. Well, that's bad because now you're screwing with people's lives, right? But once again, it was a mistake, right? We ain't gonna sue them for that, but that's why they got the malpractice insurance, I guess, right? But still, guys, sometimes people make mistakes, and the repercussions and the consequences of the mistake. See, if we were all better, we wouldn't get to that point. The repercussion and the consequence of the mistake becomes worse than the mistake in itself, right? Opinion. Opinion. Believing a false statement to be true is a mistake. Oh my God, look at social media, right? Kristen, right? McCunis, right? Lena. Look at it. Social media, that's all it's about, right? Believing false information, fake news, false information, people putting out only what they want to put out, right? You believing it, resharing it, reposting it, putting it out there, right? And all of a sudden it becomes a part of your intellect. And it was wrong in the first place, right? Misunderstanding, thinking someone said something they did is a mistake, right? So thinking that happened to me recently. Somebody thinking something happened. I don't even remember. Maybe that was my mental brain. I had accidents and stuff, and I got foggy. I got stuff going on sometimes, right? Sometimes I'm something. You might hear me talking. I'm like pause for a second because I forgot something, right? But I don't try to make a big deal out of it. I don't break it all down. I thought my girl understood some of that stuff, but sometimes it's worse than I think it is, right? And so, guys, sometimes I might say something, or you might say something, or somebody might say something, or you might hear it incorrectly or hear it wrong. And then you've made a mistake by perpetuating it, by putting it out there and things of that nature. And so there goes some definite definitions and words to work around mistakes, because we all make them, guys. We all make them, right? And so back to the Bible is, don't point those fingers at people if you're making those things. um, I need to get this workout on, so I'm going to try to do a little twist, because I always try to teach you in my classes, my wealth coaching, my mentoring and stuff like that. And that is that you always find a solution, right? Always work for a solution. Now, sometimes that don't work that well, because, I have a tendency to push. Sometimes I don't need to push and find a solution to things, right? Sometimes you have to just give time and give space. Lost y'all there for, oh, there we go. Sometimes you have to give time. Sometimes you have to give. Come on now. Come on now. My software is messing up there. Okay, guys. So apologize for that little hiccup and stuff like that. But something went with the power in the place. So I ain't gonna let that hold me back. I ain't gonna let that stop me. I'm gonna just get out here on the street and just get my walk on, right? And still keep my coaching and still keep what I'm doing. So therein lies what? There goes a lesson right there. Never quit, never get up. A winner never quits and a quitter never wins. And if someone makes a mistake, guys, you can't quit. You can't give up. If the person keeps making it over and over again, okay, there's something to look at. But if they make one mistake, or they make two mistakes, or they make different mistakes in different scenarios, it talks a lot about your character. If that becomes your life, their life, the consequences life, the surrounding life, all of those type of things, especially with no communication. And we talked a little bit about mental illness. Well, when it comes to African Americans, and I've learned a lot of this lately, and some of my very, very closest friends, I was shocked. Guys, when it comes to African Americans, we don't pay attention. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and we was talking about, when you think about mental illness, you think about maybe bipolar, which some of it's obvious. But then I have a very good friend who passed away not that long ago from bipolar. Well, having bipolar was a contributing factor, but you would have met him, you never would have thought he had bipolar. I knew him for years, didn't know it until he had a breakdown. And I went through years with him on this stuff, right? So I could have held him accountable for all the things. I mean, the consequence, I lost a lot of my stuff. I lost a lot of books. I lost a lot of time. I lost money because of his bipolar. So I'm supposed to say, okay, you have bipolar, and so therefore I'm gonna hold you accountable. No, I didn't do that. I had to suck it up. And that's what you do with people you love. That's what you do with people that are close to you. That's what you do with people that aren't intending and harming you out of intention, right? And so I didn't say it was easy. It's very difficult sometimes. But the bottom line is, you got to get better too. That's why you can't afford to cast stones, because you're not perfect either, guys. I know I'm not perfect. You know, some people think I am. I'm not. I just don't know nothing. I don't say nothing. That don't mean I don't make mistakes. But one thing I do know is I make a mistake and I talk about it and we understand, you get to an understanding, I can take accountable for it, my accountability for it. You know, where a lot of times people who make mistakes back at you, we should call that mistake back at you. People that make mistakes back at you, a lot of times the issue is they're not taking accountability, right? And maybe
I had a situation one time with one of my partners. you know, we had a studio, right? And he made a mistake, right? He jumped into business because he wanted to do something, but he hadn't worked it out totally at home with his wife. And so he didn't know he had to go through all that, but that didn't have nothing to do with me. That had to do with him. I got an artist right now. He got a manager, right? He wants us to take the loss sometimes because of his manager. We didn't hire the manager, right? You hired the manager. You believe the manager. So that's your thing. That's your mistake. That's you and the manager stuff. That's not our mistake. That's not our problem, right? And so my friend also with the studio, right? He come to me one time. We got to shut down the studio. Why? Because my wife don't like it. Yeah, but that's not my problem. That's yours. That's your mistake, right? The mistake was coming to me and acting like I'm a part of it 100%. Now, I didn't write him off. I was supportive of him. I tried to work out different ideas, type of things. Then he showed up trying to take all the equipment. Well, that was another mistake, right? So one mistake grew into another mistake. And then the police came and tried to make me give it up. I said, I ain't giving up nothing, right? Called a sergeant. And eventually what happened? We went to court and I won everything because it was his mistake. Why I got to take accountability for your mistake? Now, I took accountability for, you know what? I'm going to take a loss. We're going to shut it down for a while. All these different types of things. I get it. I didn't lose him. I didn't run from him. He's still a friend of mine today, right? But it was still his mistake. But I didn't hold it over his head for the next 100 years. No, I understood what was going on. And sometimes I find myself in a situation because sometimes I can be so understanding and so logical that people get over on me, right? That people use me, that people can do stuff, and that bothers me, but I'm trying to get better at that. And I also started having conversations and trying to be so transparent. And man, being transparent is hard, right? And then when you're transparent and you think something might have, might have been used, right? Man, that's even worse. But guys, all I'm saying is this: life goes on, and we all got to get better. And when you make a mistake, okay, own up to the mistake. And sometimes you have to own up to the mistake. Men understand this. You own up to a mistake even though you didn't make the mistake. Now, that's not justifying that we don't make mistakes, but sometimes people are wrong. Sometimes I'm wrong. Sometimes you're wrong. Sometimes together you're wrong. And sometimes neither one of you is wrong, but you make something wrong out of it because lack of communication, lack of understanding, lack of empathy, and sometimes just because that we miss what's going on in the world and we miss what's happening. Guys, life is too short. You know, you make a mistake and something happens and something gets blown out of proportion, or maybe it's a big thing, maybe it's a huge thing. But I think that Jesus died for much bigger things than what most of us go through, right? You want to check yourself. Look, guys, get through some stuff. Why would you be mad at somebody, mean with somebody, spiteful of somebody, angry with somebody for a mistake? And then something happens and you never see them again. I got lots of friends and lots of people that's happened to. You know, it's not worth it. Now you got to live with things for the rest of your life because somebody made a mistake. This isn't to water down a mistake, but think about it. It was just a mistake. Now, if they do it over and over and over and over again, then it becomes a habit. And then the habit itself might be a mistake. Or maybe it's mental illness or something, right? Okay, did work to fix it, but it was just a mistake. And it's not worth missing out on life, experiences, and things. It's not worth missing out on loved ones and family and friends, or never seeing somebody again, or something going down because of a mistake. That's just not worth it, guys. And so remember, we all make them and we all go through things. And so I hope that's given you some insight, giving you some things to think about. Be careful on social media, you know, because a lot of stuff out there is a fake world. And as we move into a lot of changes and a lot of new things in life, it's going to get worse and it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. It'll come to a point that you won't know the videos you see, the movies you see, the interviews you see, the people you see, the cars that you see. We won't know if all those things are real. You know, I mean, I come from the music, entertainment, Hollywood industry. and it's been a fake industry for a long, long time. But people knew it was a fake industry. They knew it was rough. They knew it was bad. That's why people wanted to be a part of it, but only a small percentage of people we were able to be in that world. But as social media came along, what happened? We crossed the line. We started, many of us started living in the fake world. Even people in Hollywood who knew things were fake, right? They began to live in a fake world because everyone else was living in a fake world. I mean, if everyone around you is doing something, it usually rubs off. If someone around you is smoking, you probably gonna smell like smoke. Some of y'all around you robs banks every day. Maybe you'll start robbing banks every day. I'm just saying, guys, association is everything. And so be very, very careful. And that leads back to the mistakes because we can make some mistakes because of errors in judgment. You know, what did Jim Rohn say? Small errors in judgment compounded over time becomes a massive issue, right? But you got to look at it on the other side, right? There's a simple errors in judgment, or but also simple errors in working towards getting better, or simple errors, not errors, but simple, I don't mean errors, but working towards things to get better, working to make a mistake, working to be apologetic, working to make something better with people. You keep doing those things over and over time, and guess what? You get the other side of the coin. Everything gets better, right? And so, guys, that falls into the mistakes. Mistakes are just a mistake. That's not saying and justifying the mistakes are good, but sometimes we got to look in the mirror. And I'm gonna tell you something. I'm constantly looking in the mirror, and I constantly help people look in the mirror. That doesn't mean I'm perfect. That just means I have a different perspective on some things. And sometimes it's good, but sometimes it's bad. But just remember, we all make mistakes, and apologize and get better. That's the key to get better. Hey guys, hopefully this gives you again some insight. And next time somebody makes a mistake to you, you'll learn to forgive, right? And if you make a mistake to somebody else, you'll learn to apologize and pray that they forgive. With that being said, guys, I appreciate your time. It's Dr. Malcolm D. Alexander, the Treadmill Wealth Coach. Don't forget, today is Tuesday. Look on the Tag app this evening for J Dollars, right? Go to J Dollars on the Tag app. If you're a hip hop artist, go on there and rap. He should be doing Takeover Tuesday. Tuesday Takeover. And then on Thursday night at midnight on the Tag app, with the Real Tress, and that's spelled T-H-A, Real Tress. The Real Tress. Her hip hop artist name is Tress. We're looking to bring out an album record this summer, hopefully. We get through some things here. That is already in motion and play. And so look out for Tress, the hip hop artist, but also sometimes she's called Miss Rowe on Thursday night at midnight for Freestyle Friday, also on the Tagged app, and hopefully out on all the other platforms as well. And then on Friday, Dads Deserve Justice with myself, the host, Dr. Malcolm D. Alexander, to make a difference on that realm on Friday. And then there's other things, Soul Foods, Cypher Sunday, and hope a show called Chop It Up is going to be coming soon. Interviews, news breaks, all types of different stuff, music reviews and things of that nature. So, guys, look for winners all around.com. Look for winners all around on the tube, and get all that insight. And if you're a business owner or artist, slow down for a minute. Don't make the mistake of not listening. Listen to what we're saying to you. I had a little test. I'm gonna tell you before I leave y'all. I had a little test I did with a guy yesterday. He wanted me to be involved with a project. I like his project, but I hear about projects like that all the time. Been there, done that. Had a conversation with another lady today who didn't understand that what she was trying to get me to do, I've been doing for years, right? She assumed a lot of things. Remember, you don't learn by talking. You only learn by listening. So if someone's making a mistake, a lot of times you got to learn to listen, because all of a sudden you might find out that what you think isn't really what happened. But anyway, so I had a meeting and all this stuff was going on. And I was talking to the guy, and he said, he too didn't quite understand what I was saying, what I know. And so I liked the project, but I said, look, man, the people that I know, they're not going to do it for nothing. They're not going to do it for free. They've worked past that, right? And I said, I tested you. I took the time to put something together that you wanted me to send you. I took the time to put it together and I sent it to you. But you didn't take the time. You didn't take the time to read what I sent you, right? And I knew what he was going to say. He said, yeah. And I knew that people hold up and they think things cost money, so they procrastinate, they drag their feet, or maybe they don't want to spend the money. Okay, but wait a minute. What I sent you gave you three options, and one of the options was free. So not only did you not even look at what I sent you, I took the time, and I get paid for this. I took the time to put this together for you and give you the information. You didn't take the time to review the information, and because of that, you didn't even get started. And then he tried to flip it and say, well, I was going to get the paid package. Okay, I appreciate that. That's great. But here's the thing. If you didn't have it at that moment, or you weren't sure when you want to do it, or you wanted to go through it more in detail, you would have showed me that you appreciated and valued me, because you would have at least went through the information, which you didn't. And if the money was an issue and you weren't sure if you're going to do it yet, or you didn't have your card, you could have took the free option again to show me that you valued me. But you didn't do that. I valued you enough to spend the time to put it together. I valued you enough to send it to you. I valued you enough to do it beforehand. But that's why I have been able to make hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars, because I learned these principles and I learned this stuff, and people are always watching. Guys, back to the mistake. People are always watching, but they're watching through their lens. They're watching and listening through their perception. And that may not always be the case. That's why you can't afford to just hone down on a mistake and let that be the end of all ends. You have to forgive and move on and work together with people to make it better. Hey guys, my name is Dr. Malcolm D. Alexander. Again, I appreciate you jumping on with the Treadmill Wealth Coach, and I'll see you again, hopefully tomorrow. God bless, and bye-bye.